First of all, thank you for being here. I really enjoy these updates. It's an opportunity for me to reflect on what we've been doing at the board level and to bring you up to date and to get feedback and questions from you on any of the things that we're doing or insights or comments as well, for sure. As I was looking at and preparing myself for the meeting, I was looking forward to our annual meeting of delegates, which is 5 weeks today. So it's a kind of a melancholy day for me because that's 5 weeks left in my term as well. I can't believe it's been 3 years already, and what a ride it's been. It's been quite a term given everything that's happened in these past 3 years. So in terms of the update, we did have a board meeting in August. It's been 2 months since the last update I've given to you, but it's the summer months, and I did have some summer vacation, so it's not been one of our, from my personal perspective, not one of my busiest periods. I can't say the same for Rima and Hosseima because they're getting ready for the annual meeting, so it is one of their busiest periods. So anyway, I'll bring you an update from my perspective. Rima, then I'll hand it over to you if you have any others. And then we're moving on to the discussion part where we'll do our round table as we typically do. And the topic for today is strategic issues in consulting in the 2020s. I've been thinking about how we're going to be managing as management consultants, for the rest of this decade. And I'll give you some thoughts, and I'd be really interested in your insights from your perspectives as well. So in terms of the update, there's just a few things that I'd like to bring you up to date on. One is a governance review. So we did agree at our board level that it's time for us to have a review of the governance of ICMCI. In terms of the relationship between our executive offices, the executive director and our staff, and the board and the volunteer framework, which we have, which are all of the committees and their role. And as we grow as an organization, and it's true for any not-for-profit organization, there's a maturity curve. As organizations mature, the authority relationships between those bodies change. And Rima's been doing an amazing job as our executive director, implementing the staff, the operations side. So we really need some improved clarity, particularly around our committees, about what the relationship is between committees and their policy recommendation function versus their supporting Rima in operations implementation. So anyway, it was agreed at our last board meeting that as I take on the role of past chair beginning in October, then I'll launch a working group to look into this, and over the next year or so you'll get some feedback from us, and there may be some insights for that as well for institutes, which will be in different institutes or in different states of maturity as well. The other thing that was a major discussion point at our last board meeting was the Chartered Management Consulting Award, which is being implemented in the United Kingdom now. Many of our institutes have awards that are not under the CMC umbrella, so we always welcome any new advancement in terms of recognizing the profession and increasing the professionalism of management consulting. But the Chartered, particularly based in the UK, does have a different aura about it. I guess aura is as good a word as any. So it's really important that we understand what is the collaborative arrangement between all of the other institutes around the world and the institute in the United Kingdom. If someone, for example, in Australia hears about this Chartered Award, says, gosh, that sounds like a really good thing, I would like to get it, and then they reach out to the United Kingdom or institute there and says, I'd like to be a Chartered Management Consultant. What's the answer in terms of their relationship in the country of Australia or Mongolia or wherever it might be, and how does that all work? So we've been having ongoing discussions with them over the last, throughout the entire period of time. So it's not like this is a surprise, but we are now getting to the stage where we can have a more formal arrangement. And we have put together a working group between the Institute in the UK and our board. And we'll be reporting as we come up with whatever those mechanisms and communication channels might be as we move forward. The other thing I wanted to bring you up to date on is really exciting, and it's a competency framework. This will be coming, this has been in the works for some time. It's now come to the board for approval, and that approval is near. There was just a few questions and some technicalities, mostly around wording changes and understanding, but this will advance us to the next level in terms of keeping us current with the competency framework. There will be an implementation period moving forward so that institutes can apply. It's not a huge change. It's not night and day, but there are improvements that will be helpful to all. So you will be hearing more about that as that becomes approved, and we will be talking about that at the annual meeting as well. From the finance side, at ICMCI, we're in relatively good shape. A lot of our expenses are around travel and supporting our meetings. And those, of course, we have not had in 2020 or 2021. And particularly around our travel for assessors have all been virtual, so that there have been some savings there. So it was agreed by the board that we will have a rebate of some sort to institutes for the 2021-2022 invoices, just to sort of redistribute that back for investment at the institute level. As you know, our formula now is based on what the cost is to run our secretariat, and then that is divvied up on a formula that was put together by our task force on strategic funding, which was approved in Toronto, forget the year, about 5 or 6 years ago. And so exactly what the implications are going to be for each institute will have to be calculated once the amount that we're funding back is known. So it's not a reduction in budget per se, because our budgets are approved 2 years in advance. So it would really be a credit against a budget that's already been approved. So again, you will be hearing more about that as we move forward. We've also had a very interesting twist in our bylaws and our authority levels. I think I mentioned at the last update that we were having some issues with our bank. If you think about banks and international money laundering schemes and all of the processes that banks put in place for compliance with all of the different international regulations. When you think about our organization, which is in almost every country of the world, if you think about GI, we transfer funds from all countries of the world to all other countries of the world. It's kind of a banking nightmare from the perspective of the banks in terms of compliance. So our existing bank in the Netherlands has decided that those compliance issues are too much for them, and they've asked us to find another bank. And we're in working that through. We thought that we should really have our bank in the same country in which we're established legally, which is Switzerland. But that requires someone inside the country with the authority to act on our behalf. So anyway, long story short, when we went to put in place and establish the authority for that individual that we would engage to act on our behalf, we found out that the board didn't have the authority to do that. And then we went a little bit deeper, and there was an oversight in some of the updates of the last bylaws, which in fact removed our ability even to appoint our executive director. So it really was an oversight. So anyway, everything's moving smoothly, but we do have there will be a special resolution to the directors to give us this banking authority that we need so that we can move on with that immediately. I said the directors, I meant to the delegates, so that we can move forward with that. And then we're going to update or correct those errors in the bylaws, which is a 45-day motion, so that'll go through. And then our secretary has also suggested that we put in place a working group after this coming annual meeting to look at our bylaws generally. Are they really the best now for enabling ICMCIs to support institutes in the best way and to support the profession of management consulting in the best way? So anyway, at our next update in October, I'll give you more detail on that, because I think that's an important one to move forward. But I just give you a little insight to some of the things that happen in these legal matters. We also talked about upcoming meetings. We had hoped that when we were planning the annual meeting, which starting in the spring, that by September, at least the board could come together and we could be in one physical location to support the annual meeting. But just the way things are now, and with some of the international travel restrictions that are still in place, we'll decide finally at our September board meeting, but I think that's not going to happen. So it'll be a completely virtual meeting. But for 2022 and onwards, we are looking at moving back to some kind of a hybrid arrangement. So there are huge advantages to the virtual. There's the ability for people to participate in the meeting without having to travel there is a great thing, and we want to encourage that. But on the other hand, there's nothing that can beat that face-to-face interaction and the hallway and coffee time chats about how people collaborate with each other. So we will be looking forward to creating some more hybrid version of hubs and our annual meeting, so that we will have a congregation of people who can come together to deliberate on our business, but people can join us virtually as well. How that's going to look exactly, I'm not sure, but let's take advantage of people's willingness to meet virtually now when the need arises. The last thing I wanted to report, and I think this is really positive news, is that our academic fellow lists came through. So there were 15 new academic fellows approved at the last board meeting. Another 2 came in immediately after that, so 17 new academic fellows. So this is a huge resource to us in terms of professional educators that are affiliating with us in different ways, and it's something that they're taking the lead on a lot of initiatives, such as our ICMCI book, which is well in progress now. So that's what I wanted to say. Rima, I'll hand it over to you for any updates from your side.
Thank you, Dwight. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, everyone. What I'm going to talk about is actually what's been happening at the Secretariat for the past couple of months, and it's the preparation for the annual meeting, like Dwight said. We have the documentation to cater for. This includes all the reports of the board chairs of committees and task forces and what have you, plus the report from our auditors. So what's happening now is kind of completing all the reports from the internal part, which are the board and the chairs of committees. However, we're still working with the auditors for theirs. Hopefully by next week, we will get the final draft for the treasurer and chair to look at, to approve, in order for us to get the final version. So that's work in progress, but at least we have proper timelines and everything. This year, we're going to do a Constantinos Award ceremony, which is something that we missed last year because there was no Constantinos Award last year, no nominations, no nothing. This year, we actually made it. And just a few days ago, we announced all the nominees to the IMCs who had nominations. We have 11 projects that are going through as nominees, so those are the finalists, and we will find out on the 13th of October who the winners are. The thing is that we're still discussing the timing of the award itself, the ceremony, and it might be around 13 UTC. So even if it's not convenient to some of you, please do attend. Let's make the 14th a day where everyone is awake, and the 13th a day where everyone is kind of inconvenienced with the timing. It's because we needed to make sure that at least the nominees and their clients are able to attend. So we tried to cover that, which means it might be inconvenient to others, but I know you'll bear with us and you'll be with us. The other thing that we're planning for that day is what Dwight mentioned, I believe, in the last update, and it's the fact that we're going to have sessions in between the annual meeting sessions, and we're thinking of them as a mini conference. That's what we're calling them between us. So we're going to have a conference. It's going to have 3 sessions. Each would be around an hour, and those would be different topics and different subjects, with Dwight and myself moderating and hosting and we're trying to get speakers that would be, talking to us either at the level of the management consultancy itself or at the level of the IMCs. We're still going through those, and when we decide on the speakers, it will be announced and you will be updated. The other thing that is looming, that is the voting for the board members and the chair board. We're working with NSPC, and the voting itself would be out by the end of this month. It could be, the end or the beginning of October, but that's the week it's going to be announced. The voting will be open for 1 week, and all delegates would need to take action quickly in order for us to announce those who will be joining the board on the annual meeting day itself. Plus, last year, if you remember, we opened the voting on the resolutions for 45 days after the annual meeting. However, looking at the current bylaws, we discovered that we can actually have the voting open on the day for 24 hours. So we do not actually need to wait for the 45 days. Now, either it takes place at or after, but it's going to be virtual. So we're going to have the resolution sent to all the delegates, just like we did last year. Voting will take place on the platform itself. However, we're going to open the voting right after the second session of the annual meeting, and we'll keep it open for a slot of 24 hours where all delegates would be able to cast their vote. This simply makes it much easier in starting the preparation of the MOM, in making sure that all the outcomes of the annual meeting are distributed sooner than what we had last year. The last thing I want to talk about is the fact that we would want delegates to actually attend the annual meeting, so please be there. Again, I started with talking about the inconvenience of the timings, but please do try to be on either of the sessions, because we want to make sure that the discussions that take place actually reach everyone in order to facilitate their voting within the 24-hour limit. Thank you.
Rima,
That's what I wanted to cover.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of questions from Brendan in the chat. He's asked if you could confirm the times in UTC for the 2 sessions. And while you're looking that up, or you probably know it by memory. Okay, so maybe just tell us what those are.
Okay. And Brendan, you're saying I'm a bit quiet, so my voice was low?
Yeah, just I think the speaker, the microphone wasn't quite at your mouth. Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat.
That's right.
I hope this is better. Okay. The proposed start and finish time of the annual meeting of delegates is as follows. We're going to have 2 sessions like we did last year. The first session would be 6 UTC like this time. Okay. And it's going to be either for 1.5 hours or for 2 hours. We're still going to prepare the agenda, and that drives the timing, but it could be for around, let's say, between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. That's the morning session, and the same applies to the afternoon session, which is going to be at 14 UTC, if I'm not mistaken. 14 UTC. So it's going to be, 15 UTC.
15. Same as today's 2 sessions, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Because we found out that those are the times where we can get actually many from the East attending and making sure that we meet their timing, and the same applies for the maximum West, let's call it. Okay.
And
so
Rima, that will effectively mean exactly the same in the 2 sessions, or are they quite different sessions?
The same, just like last year, and I remember your comment from last year. The agenda would apply to both. That's why we don't put the timing, because it starts at the hour, ends at the hour, and includes all of that content in between. Yes.
And again, enormously appreciated from all those that are going to have to do both sessions. It's a huge task, and I hats off to you both.
We're going to do the sessions in between. We're going to do the sessions in between as well.
Okay.
There's another question. Are we to presume that only delegates are eligible to vote?
Voting rights.
Voting rights are for the delegates of full members, because we
Yes.
also have provisional members, but those do not have voting rights.
And some voting members will have 1, 2, 3, etc. votes depending on the number of delegates, right?
Depending on the number of members, that's how the number of delegates is assigned, and
Yes.
that's how many votes they would have. And
Yes.
and one other thing, the attendance is not limited to delegates, but the voting is.
Thank you.
So we would welcome anyone to attend. Okay. On the 13th is the Konstantinos Award. The
Thanks,
annual
Christine.
meeting is on the 14th. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
And all delegates will be contacted by Husseima with the link for voting and the process for doing that. So everybody will be informed well in advance. Excellent. Very good questions. And we'll have a chance at our next session for this one, which is, I think, 3 weeks today, or maybe 3 weeks yesterday. We're going to really more focus in on the annual meeting agenda. So so we can chat about that then if any final details are needed to be put in place. So any comments or questions about the content that we've shared with you this morning so far? Okay, so we'll move on to the round table. This has been my favorite part of the updates. As you recall, in the first 2 years of my term, the update was just a recorded session, and it felt a little one way, and it was very one way. So so at these sessions, it's an opportunity to hear from you in terms of what's happening in your institute or in your practice, depending on your perspective and the session. In terms of the profession of management consulting, it's not like any of the other professions. It's been going through a lot of changes over the last decade or two. In the information age, with the availability of information, people are dealing with their professional support services in very different ways, whether it's lawyers or accountants or doctors even. Just think of the access to knowledge that people have now. We're much better informed than any of our previous generations have been in all sorts of ways. So in the same way that we think differently about how we deal with our medical doctors or our lawyers, our clients are beginning to think quite differently about how they deal with management consultants. So there's a lot of self-diagnosis going on out there, if I might put it in that particular way. So in terms of thinking then about everything that's been happening over the last 2 years, it's really put a magnifying glass on the change of professions and the ability of individuals, whether you're the client or whether you're the consultant, in terms of a virtual approach to providing services, to selling projects, to putting projects together. It's also there's also been significant changes in terms of borders dropping. So from the perspective of the client organization, if they're looking for specific expertise, they no longer have to look at someone in the office tower down the block. They can think about someone somewhere else in the country or someone anywhere else in the world, simply because through virtual support, they're not now limited to getting the specialized expertise that they want from the from traditional sources, if you think about it in that way. So this creates challenges for us as management consultants, but it also creates opportunities for us as management consultants, because with global organization and the global certification of CMC, we are different from other professions because we have full reciprocity around the world. So that CMC is something that is increasingly valuable to us as a profession. Medical doctors, lawyers can't say the same thing in terms of transportability of their credentials from one country to another. So strategically thinking, the question comes, and we've been looking at the board at ICMCI about what does this mean to the profession and what does it mean to how we globally support institutes at the national level, bearing in mind all of these differences, and from the client perspective, them wanting to find the best services that they can anywhere in the world at the best price possible, of course, but primarily to add as much value as possible to their company so that they can be as successful as they possibly can be. So that's just a little bit of a mind dump. It's you know, from the perspective of my own profession, the speed of virtualization of our services and the need to digitize more and make things more effective, more efficient, cheaper, better, faster, as they say, is really driving a lot of the work that we're doing. And I'd be really curious about your perspective. First of all, from your institute, you know, what are you noticing in terms of changes in the orientation of the profession? But then secondly, from your own practice, what are some of the changes that you're experiencing now? Framed in this, you know, how are we going to be moving forward as consultants through this decade, and what are the implications for our profession? So as always, it's quite random. It's how you logged in and how Zoom has placed you on my screen. So if you don't mind, Brendan, you're kind of in the top left. So I'll just ask for your thoughts on that.
No, look, that's great, and no problem at all, Dwight. I actually just wanted to start by doing quite a formal thank you to ICMCI, but actually to Dwight in particular. Dwight, I've been floating around IMC now for 11 years, and I've seen various international presidents come and go. But what I've appreciated most is your focus on profession, professionals, professionalism, and then the supporting engagement that you've gone to great lengths to ensure is happening. And of course, this COVID acceptance of digitalization season that we've been in has greatly assisted that, but you just continue to go beyond. And I just personally really appreciate that. And I'm involved in many professions with many different similar boards and committees, actually about 15 at the moment. So it's not insignificant. And I know that the value that a member gets and the level of passion and contribution from an office bearer is all in and around the culture and the people. And what I see happening is good people with good culture, and that's attracting more of the right people to this organisation and to the various institutes. So that's just a big thank you from down under. And
well, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's all right. And the fact that this is a good time of day is just fantastic. ICMCI has always been very remote for me. I've never travelled overseas. I've never done any engagement overseas. This last 18 months has been a whole new world, and the fact that we can do this is just tremendous. So I did just want to then touch on another big thank you is the ISO 2700 training, which, as some of you would know, I've been heavily involved with. It has transformed our ability to connect with a broader audience. And I continue to provide feedback, and I'm scheduled to do some more engagement on this with ICMCI and the relevant committees. There is some confusion, and I see some variation and confusion, and it's in and around this next topic I wanted to raise, this whole concept and relationship between individual management consultants and management consulting service providers, the organisations. And again, somewhat unique to the management consulting profession, not completely, but somewhat, is the fact that management consultants need to be something as an individual, and that's the basis of our professional associations to support that. But almost all the time, they operate in the form of an organisation, and that relationship is often misunderstood. It's skewed. All our various constitutions and bylaws and supporting frameworks don't always differentiate clearly enough. And it actually gets right down to it with this ISO 2700 training. And I'm getting a lot of questions around that. Now, just for everyone's sake, there's a piece of parallel work going on aside of ISO 2700. And ILSA, who you would know of, who was part of ISO 2700 in its history, myself, Michael McLean from Australia, the three of us, and there's others, are all separately participating in the review of another standard, which is ISO 10019, which at the moment is currently called, I'll paraphrase, Engagement of Quality Management System Consultants. So, but it was written in 2005. ISO 2700 was written in, or published in 2017. So there's a big gap there. Now, Ilsa, myself, and Michael all have a view that there's a great opportunity of a better relationship between those two standards and just how that works out. I just wanted to give you that heads up if that hasn't come to your attention. So that's currently an ISO working group that will advise the main ISO TC committee, who will then go about the next steps. But we're having monthly meetings on that at the moment. I suppose then a little bit similar to this individuals versus firms, but a bit different. I do want to just challenge again our terminology in terms of ICMCI as compared to CMC Global. I, for one, am very clear about the distinction between membership and certification. One leads to another. Our terminology then becomes quite important in terms of confirming what the difference is and the pathway from one to the other. I know over the last number of years, there's been a move towards the CMC Global brand and then rebranding of the different country institutes. As the immediate past president for Australia, I personally resisted that change because, to me, it confuses the difference between membership and certification. Great. I really like the ICMCI acronym. It's the two borders around CMC. I reckon that is just beautiful. It really, really is. But in a parallel profession, the accountants in Australia, we have what's called CPA, Certified Practicing Accountant. They've got the same problem. They changed the name some years ago. To be a member of CPA, you become a member and then you get certified and then you become a CPA. So the organisation is the same as the membership, is the same as the certification. It's a bit confusing for the marketplace. So I just wanted to raise that in your review and reflection in the bylaws space and the marketing space as we come to terms with one, that this new training, the reflection on the Constitution and bylaws and governance, and all that's in between with that as well. So that's my feedback anyway.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Lots for us to think about there, and I appreciate that. And I think rather than make this a one-on-one, I've made a couple of notes because it stimulated some thinking, and perhaps we'll go through everyone and then we'll have a general discussion at the end. Bear in mind, time is moving. So thank you. I appreciate that very much, Brendan.
Thank you.
Alan, any thoughts for us today?
I can't add very much, Dwight, I have to say, because I'm new back into the process, but for those of you who don't know, I've just been appointed as the delegate for IMC Australia, or as a delegate. I'm not sure if I'm the only one. And it is a very new process. So that hasn't allowed me yet to really get fully briefed on everything IMC is doing, although I've been watching from afar for a good number of years now. By the way, Remo, John Bolenberg sends his warm regards.
Thank you very much. That's great, Alan.
I think at this stage, I'd probably leave it with what Brendan has said. He's well advanced on the topics he's talking on, and far more advanced than I am. So I don't think I can add very much to that in terms of the profession, but perhaps next time we meet, I'll have more to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. Appreciate that. Shin Liat, how are you doing today? Any thoughts for us?
I'm fine. I participate more as an individual today. I think Lydia will talk about Singapore in general. But yes, thank you for the leadership that Dwight has provided. And I started to be involved in ICMCI around about 2004, where the Vancouver meeting brought me into contact with all the other people. But just one point, because I've been also sitting on Glenn's membership committee, that there's still IMCs needing help, but I'm seeing positive movement in terms of getting, for example, academic fellows. And I actually very look forward to looking at the book that we put together by Professor Simon, and that's a good thing. So thank you, and also I look forward to further engagement. Although I'm counting my years, 17 years ICMCI and 23 years IMCs, but happy to know all of you and keep up with the momentum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shin Liat. So let's move right over to you, Lydia, then for your thoughts as a consultant, but also from the perspective of the Institute. Oh, we have to get you off of mute. Oh, you're still muted, Lydia. There you go.
Yeah, I would like to thank Dwight, the chair, who has been very vibrant these last 3 years, sort of being connected with us all the time. And of course, our two lovely ladies, Rima and Kuzaiman, who's basically the strong backbone of ICMCI. They have always done a lovely job, an amazing job, you know, that the whole world is coming to them, all bottled up. All right. I will just speak in general as well as for IMC Singapore. We are still learning with living with COVID. This year is like a roller coaster. There are ups and downs, and our economy is still not stabilized, unfortunately. Although we are 81% vaccinated with 2 shots, our COVID cases are still rising. So really, it's a lot of question mark, and I wouldn't go into the area. Anyway, consultants are really learning to embrace digital trends and how to ride this digitalization wave. You know, there will be growth in the digitalization of SMEs. I'm talking about Singapore, because the rate of digitalization remains very high in Singapore, suggesting a significant opportunity for consultants. Now, it's really a challenge for non-digital consultants who have been more in the traditional areas. Suddenly they have to pivot to digitalization, which is not easy, all right, which is really not easy. So I would say that it's still a struggle for a lot of our consultants here, although I must say we are blessed that IMC Singapore is doing well in the sense the last 2 years, last year and this year, we are still doing well. Last year, especially, we broke record. We was like, whoa, unbelievable, you know, in times like that. Now, the other thing I would like to share is basically the Singapore government is now noticing IMC Singapore, and we've been trying very hard to convince them and tell them about ICMCI because they have recognized the other brand of registered management consultant, but they haven't recognized CMC yet. I think we need to give them time. They need a lot of education. But the plus point is that the Singapore government are now coming to IMC Singapore whenever they want to feel the pulse of the management consultants in the marketplace. These, they will come to us and say, IMC, please help us, talk to your consultants. How are they doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then they come to us for help. That is really an achievement. But like all things, we never stop running. We put in every ounce of our effort to, in fact, to collaborate and to be in alliance with other professional firms, like we have been in alliance with the Singapore Human Resource Institute, for instance, because they are potential consultants as well. So we try to be alliance even with consultants and all that. So we try very, very hard. And we have been very fortunate in a sense that we have now signed, last year we signed an MOU with a central body of the government that is actually consisting of 69 professional bodies. So I think this is going forward. I think IMC Singapore, I hope we will not just survive but thrive, So that's from me, but I'm just wondering from the ICMCI point of view, which I think we have tried very hard in the past to join forces with some of the world bodies, right? I think we have tried very hard. It's not easy, I know. It takes a lot of education and all that, a lot of hard work. But I think it will be nice, so that, we can fly the ICMCI flag even higher and higher and raise our profile. All right, that's all from me.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lydia. I appreciate that very much. And thank you for the recognition of Rima and Husseima. There's no question that is the backbone of our organization. Chairs come and go, but our staff keep things running all the time. Jordy, over to you, please. How are you today?
Thank you very much. In South Africa, one of our challenges is the renewals of our management consultants. I'd like to start with a lot of initiatives we're doing, but and wouldn't want to start sort of complaining, but starting with this will put the other things into perspective. So yes, our management consultants are challenged in the market with the economy. A lot of them do not have enough work, and therefore our membership renewals are very slow. I mean, it's still coming in. We had renewals this month. So that's the 2021 renewals that's only coming now in September. So I read from that the market is somewhat recovering. And I'll finish with the challenges they are facing with their clients. Okay, so we run a number of initiatives to get new members and to get our numbers up. One of them is with the South African Qualifications Authority. We are tasked to verify the critical skills of foreigners who want to get work visas in South Africa. And that brings in a number of members to our organization. But it's also a lot of work. Not the verification of skills so much, but also functioning on those committees. We are currently busy reviewing the recognition of prior learning, which is which involves all sorts of organizations, professional bodies, universities, etc. And that's a lot of work. What we've also done, we've got the Companies and Intellectual Properties Commission. We registered with them because they regulate business rescue practitioners, which is a legal function in South Africa. Therefore, we can get new members in that way. To have, they need to belong to a professional organization, and now they may also belong to the IMCSA. Let me see. Okay, we also have a focus on academic institutions. We're in discussion with a number of them, and the great benefit is creating awareness with MBA students, because that's a potential market for us as well. And that will, as they qualify, bring in bulk registrations. When I say bulk, it's small, still small, but it's groups instead of single ones. We share the challenge of making the brand known, especially with government, but business as well. We've been working hard to get businesses to approach us to ask who are certified members when they look for management consultants. And also this month, this started happening for the first time now. And I think that's a great breakthrough, but there's a lot of work to be done there as well. With regard to our management consultant training, we had an information session with our management consultants on ISO 20700. It's very positively received, but I haven't seen any implementation of it yet. Now, I won't necessarily know of every one that's using it, but yes, the attitude's positive towards it. They can see the benefit. But I think when it comes down to doing the work, a lot of them would rather not do that. That's just my opinion. But that's the challenge we need to face and help them become more professional. With regard to our clients, the clients of the management consultants, interesting things, obviously, because of COVID. One of the big challenges we've seen before COVID is getting businesses to understand they have to do risk management. They need cash flow coverage. Although you teach these things for many years, it almost always fell on deaf ears. And now COVID's actually woken up people to that. So that's a key business aspect that they've learned the lesson actually the hard way, but it makes our work as management consultants much easier. Our challenge with our clients at the moment is planning to be or becoming more agile, to be more flexible with regard to what they offer and the speed at which they can introduce new products and services, be more open to opportunities. From their side, their biggest challenge is now with staff management. On the positive side, I've to a great extent battled with a lot of managing directors or executives in trusting their people. And I think they've learned a lot from people working from home, that they can trust people much more than they initially thought they could. I think their eyes were opened that a lot of people can be very productive from home. I get feedback from them, however, that for certain jobs that people need to come to the office, they now battle to get them back in, or even back out in the field. If your salespeople or field salespeople, they're reluctant to go out, and that's one of the current challenges they are facing. Okay, let me see what else. I think I've covered most of the things happening. Yeah,
Thank you.
that
Thank you,
covers it.
Jordy.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate that. That's a good insight into your market. I appreciate that very much. Moving on now to Namrod, and then after Namrod, it'll be you, Tuya. So Namrod, how are you today? Oh, we have to get you to take yourself off of mute. Sorry, you're still muted, Namrod.
Oh,
there we
better
go.
now.
There we go.
Okay, thank
There we
you.
go.
I was saying, sorry, I had challenges initially. I don't know what was happening to my sound, but it's okay now.
Good, good.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Dwight. I think you've been very helpful in terms of helping us, in terms of consolidating. We've reached out to you and you have never declined us. And it has really given our membership a very good boost to say we are part of the family. And Rima and you could say, please, thank you so much. You know, I think the webinars that you've done during the COVID period has really helped membership to actually give them that view that they are part of the globe. And I would say, and I think even the type of topics that are being, they're very topical, and our membership really like that. So thank you very much, and I hope you continue doing that. From a local point of view, also we'd like to thank our colleagues in South Africa. We've worked with them together for a very long time. And again, to be what we are today, I don't think we'd be here as part of ICMCI if they were not there, if they were not there. So thank you so much, Jordy, for that, and Angelo. Again, we are going to continue with the relationship with South Africa because we have got consultants that work in both countries. So the issue of certification between the two countries will continue because it is important that I think the qualifications are respected. From over the last 3 years, our focus has been internal consolidation in terms of coming up with the policies and procedures to ensure that the profession is respected, not only amongst members, but also by other professional bodies who are very critical in terms of how you go through that. And we've done that. And we can see that other professional bodies, members from other professional bodies are now joining us to show that I think we've got something that is solid. And again, thank you so much for giving that leadership and also for South Africa to be able to help us to do that. COVID came in, and COVID initially had so much havoc. People did not know what to do. People were home, but a number of the mature ones took advantage of that. It capacitated themselves in other ways that they never thought about before. And now that is helping out quite a lot in the sense that they are now being called by clients to say, we are in a fix here, what do we do? Can you help us? And that is becoming a very good channel of coming up with resources. And the aspect of digital technology has also taken a very good hold. People are now used in terms of using digital technology rather than having face-to-face Most of the work is now being done on.
No. Namrod was having trouble with his internet connection earlier. So let's hope he comes back quickly, but while we're waiting for him to reconnect, Tuya, let's hear from you and Mongolia.
Okay, thank you, Dwight. And it's a very interesting session, and I always look forward to attend this session and truly appreciate everyone's input. And I also express my gratitude.
Sorry.
Sorry, Namrod is back.
It looks a bit by connectivity. So I was saying the aspect of digitalization has taken another turn in terms of clients now asking consultants, say, how we can help in that area. So it has opened another area that we've never thought about. And for those that are, IC techno savvy, they found a very good opportunity of being able to help clients in that area. For example, the issue of data lakes. Being the center of being able to drive business, because people are working from home, so they need a central place where they can be able to get information. So a number of business models are coming through as a result of, which is a brand new area that we never thought about, but which is now coming in as quite big business for the consultants. It looks like the experienced consultants have been doing well. They've been, although the revenues are not as great as what they used to be in the past, but at least they've got something that keeps them busy out of that. So to help others that are less fortunate, at times they've also helped those clients who are not able to get jobs to come in as associates. So that at least at the end of the day, they are able to survive and also being able to take opportunities. And based on that, I think that has helped in terms of the membership being able to still have work on the ground. And that has helped quite a lot in the sense that even our payment of membership fees, that has been good. So it's something that we're going to continue doing. And also we have had a number where we've got an exercise in reaching out to various associations in the country in terms of coming up with the partnership arrangements, and that is coming on very well, including government, tertiary institutions, other professional bodies. But it's something that we're still consolidating. And as a result of that, we've come up with what you call, monthly events, where we do invite all these stakeholders to say this is what we are doing, and and we've published that for a year, to say on a monthly basis, this is what we're going to do. And we do invite people from different areas for other institutes as well. And again, I would like to thank our member institutes for also accepting to use us as a part of the actual network out of that. So in a way, we are stable at the moment, and I think it can only be better. But I think it's the internal initiatives that we are doing that will possibly keep on helping us to grow our membership. So far, it is growing, and we hope, I think, in a year or so, it will be much better than what it is today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Namrod. I appreciate that. I'm sorry, we're running a few minutes over, but if you'll indulge us, I do want to hear from Tuya in Mongolia, and then a few wrapping up comments. So Tuya, over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Like everyone else, my huge appreciation to our chair and executive team. And with your support, IMC Mongolia is doing great. And we had beautiful webinars with Lydia and Rima and Dwight. And it's been very, very good. And we are also started preparing our annual conference, which is in December after the ICMCI conference, and looking forward to this event. And the major topic is obviously the digitalization. We have whole day on morning and afternoon both. No, morning session is more for consultants. In the afternoon is the clients and market, but both of the sessions, the major topic will be digitalization. And as Lydia said, that it's not easy. So we are trying to help the consultants and their clients to how to go digital. In that respect, that we were getting great support from Rima and Kuzaima to find the speakers, and we are in the middle of choosing the best theme and speakers. But however, the one idea came is that during the conference, they probably will not have enough time to go much into the technicality of the going for digital. So we have an idea, maybe choose a consultant who really can guide the selected consultants to coach them over a year or something. So this is the just idea to help them. And the other, what the Brendan said about the ISO 2700, just we have also similar concern that now that some of the consultants call themselves the consultants of ISO 2700 and training and teaching and giving service to other consultants and etc. And probably they need more information about what it is to have the authorization of the ISO 2700, and probably we need maybe some statement or a joint statement for our ICMCI. In this regard, the idea came after Brendan's talk about this, and our institute's been having the quite good collaboration with our ministry and government offices and also IMC USA, and this collaboration given there's some good indications that we can promote CMC in our profession in Mongolia, which is not that in mature or developed. However, that for our event, which is coming up in December, as I said, annual event, annual conference, we are having 1 month prior, starting from November, the PR campaign, where we're going to heavily talk about these topics, especially the ICMCI and CMCGI will be heavily advertised or acquainted to our community. And plus, we're going to have series of webinars and short videos of our members. We're going to probably have 20 of them, and it will be good coverage for them, for them that to reach out the market and etc. to create more awareness of professional services. Like Dwight said, that how we are going to identify ourselves and tell the message across that what it is like true professionals are. The essence of management consultancy, which brings the quality of service to clients. So in that respect, it's as everyone else said in today's session, that ISO 2700 and CMC competence framework gonna be tremendous in terms of identifying ourselves as a professional. So we are having plan to promote these tools as well and create more consultants to attract to our institutions and then provide them opportunity to be a member of professional organization. So just briefly, that what I'm trying to say what's happening in our end. There are a lot more going on, but I don't want to go into much detail. But however, that as Dwight mentioned, that strategic issues of management consultancy next 10 decades. And this is also question for us. And as IMC Mongolia, we are thinking about our mission, vision, value 2030, and it will be good if we can get some of our exchange our ideas or discussions over that ICMCI's also mission, vision, value. No, not I mean values, just mostly mission and vision under the new life and circumstances as we all witness in the COVID situation. Like Lydia said, it's so amazing in Mongolia. We are only 3 million people, but cases are over almost 4,000 a day, even after double shots vaccination. So it's incredible area, and we are trying to learn to live and work under this situation. However, there's been no strict lockdowns or any restrictions in lockdowns, and we are just getting infected and and working under these circumstances. Okay, I think that's basically it from me, and thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lydia. I really appreciate the depth of information you've given to us. It's I'll wrap up in just a minute because I know everyone's time is precious, and this should have been a 1-hour session, but I didn't want to shorten anyone's time in terms of giving us that feedback. Just a couple of general comments. Especially all of the ones around ISO 20700. I agree completely that this is a game changer for us, because just in the way clients are thinking differently about professions, new entrants into the profession are thinking differently about professions. So someone who is recently graduated or who is mid-career and is thinking about consulting don't instinctively think about joining the institute. So we do need to think of different ways of affiliating with them, and ISO 20700 is absolutely one of those. And that comes to the point you raised earlier, Brendan, about differentiating between the institute and the certification, and your points are well taken around ICMCI versus CMC Global, and to add a little bit of layer of complexity, CMC Global Institute, which can get a bit confusing in the marketplace. And that does also lead to the kinds of affiliations we have with other world bodies, just in the way that you're thinking about different affiliations in your different institutes with other professions. We need to think about those things globally as well. And that's another one of the drivers between looking at our bylaws, which really does restrict us doing that in a formal way at this point. So thank you. These have been very enlightening. As we've always said, these are recorded. So we've got a dozen here that have been fully involved, but it will be available to others that want to inform themselves and catch up with you and your institutes in those wonderful briefings that you've now given. So can we get a snapshot for our social media? And so everyone smile and look at your camera. Got it? Thank you very much. Thank you all. I really appreciate your time, and look forward to seeing you in October and at the annual meeting. Make sure you block time for the annual meeting.
Thank you all very much.